Hi guys, sales training today. My apologies for the peeling. I was at the beach all weekend and my face is paying for my old age and lack of moisturizer. So, probably not the prettiest video, but there you go. It's kind of fun to say. We need to have a discussion on closing. And I want to go a little bit old school with a little bit of balance of a new school because I seem to be running into a massive flaw with a lot of people. When you very first ever went to a sales training class, when you very first ever took one, when you were your first job, you know what your sales manager taught you? He taught you get the old commitment. What's the original first close? If I could, would you? If I could, would you? If I could, would you? By the way, I want you to live off the I could, would you? Because here's the deal. There is always a deal. There is always a deal there. Too many of y'all are not thinking creatively enough. Too many of you are not paying enough attention. Too many of you are missing what the real issue is and why they're not saying yes. And too many of you are really, I'm going back to, not being creative enough with finding solutions. So begin with this. Begin with the assumed close. Begin with the assumed close because here's the reality. You know you're the best deal in town. You know this. Somebody has to stay in a hotel. You're the luxury hotel with the cleanest rooms, the best food, the best staff. You're brand new. Your beds are incredible. Everything's phenomenal. I mean, your quality is better than the $300 night room hotels. And you're only $175. Yes, there are hotels out there for $99, but I mean, you know this. You know you're the shit. You own that. You know you're the best. So if they're not signing with you, there's a reason. So you assume they're going to say yes. You assume there's a deal there. Now I want to vary and go back to the if I could, would you? No matter what the block is, no matter what the situation is, there's always a place where a client will say yes. 100% of the time, never shadow of a doubt, always will. You never accept no. There's no such thing as a no. There's no such thing as a client that won't sign. Period. 100% of the time, there's no such thing. I guarantee you. You're like, that's bullshit, blah. All right, seriously. You go into a car lot and you hate the car. And it's crap, and it's garbage, and it's hideous. And the guy looks at you and goes, I know we started at 10 grand on the car, and I asked you if you'd give me $2, and you said no. Hey, if I pay you $1,000, will you take the car? Nope, wouldn't take it. 10 grand? Nope. If I paid you $100,000, would you be willing to take the car, even if it's just to drive down to the dump and leave it there? Yeah, for 100 grand, I'd do that. We got a deal. We just got a deal. Now, is it a good enough deal you're going to sign it? Is it a good enough deal you're going to take it? Hell no. But you got a deal. You got a commitment. You got to finally anchor the damn thing in the sand. Now you can start working backwards. Are you ever going to end up on a deal with this person? Probably not. That's not the point. Find the point of agreement. Then see where you can walk back, then decide. Because at least then it's you saying no to them. At least then it's not them telling you yours is crap. It's you saying, they paid me 100 grand to take my car to the dump. Get out of here. There's always a deal there. Run it through your mind. Chase it. Never give up. Be creative. Where is it falling? Where is it faltering? Where is the issue? By the way, guys, we're going to go back to previous closing titles. It's almost always money. It's almost always money, and the number one place people will lie is to protect their pride. And what are they most prideful about? Their income and their money. It's where they're going to lie the most, it's where they're going to hide the most, and it's where it's going to be misled. Get creative in this issue. I guarantee you, you want to play the if I could, would you? If I could get you into this house and make sure that when it's done, you have $50,000 more in your pocket than you did before. and I can find a way to do it with zero cash out of your pocket. And we'll even give you an extra $5,000 to, just cover your incidentals out of the second draw. Does that work for you? By the way, you can totally fucking do that. Could totally do it. Might there have to be a little bending? Yeah. Might there have to be a little extra? Yeah. Might there have to be some straight? Yeah. There's a whole lot of yes. Whole lot of yes. But does that mean it's not there? No. It's there. We can do that. That's incredibly unreasonable, and we can still do it. It might have to be a special scenario. It might have to be a little play, but play it out. By the way, those of you watching this are like, oh, you can never do that. That's bull. God dang, quit saying. Call me. I'll walk you through it. I'll give you 4 or 5 different scenarios off the very top of my head of how it can be. That is not said as a challenge. That is not said to say I'm better than you. It's said to stretch your imagination. What are the ways? What's he talking about? Well, number one, you might have a bank and that lender might be strong enough that they can just carry this. You may have to be creative on how you design the house. It may have to be a higher payment than they were going to be comfortable with up front. It may have to have a little bit of balance to it, but you can get there. Number two, hey man, it's the exact same scenario. If I tell you to go take $100,000 out of your retirement and put it into securities so the bank knows you have some skin in the game and something at risk, and when the house is complete, they're going to give you the $100,000 back. All you lost was, 1 year's gains at 1.9%. By the way, in the CD, it earned 0.75, so you really only lost 1% on that for a year. Whoop-de-damn-do. All it mattered was which pocket have you got your money sitting in doing nothing. It's there. All right, let's give you a scenario. They don't have that. Hey, well, Grandma put one up in a CD. She gets to keep it in her name. As long as the house is completed. By the way, if the house is completed and they don't want to take it out, she can sell the thing. It'll default her. She'll get her CD back. It's almost always a relative that will cover that scenario if it's necessary. And I'll give you a fifth. You front it. Say it's $500,000 job. They want $50,000. You front it. Well, why would I do that? I'd never do that. I'll give you a scenario where you would. Well, Mr. Johnson, my fee is normally $25,000. My fee on this one's going to be $45,000. Why? Because I'm fronting the $50,000 that's going to be held in a CD as security. I'm going to get it back. If they don't finish the house and they don't take it out, I'm going to sell the son of a bitch. I've got that right to do it. But I can take the money out of my savings, my retirement, my whatever, my freaking credit card if I need to, and I confront it. And if I'm making an extra $20,000 on it, that's worth the risk to me. But if it's only an extra $10,000, might be. Depends on how strong I feel the client is, how clean the scenario is, how good is the land, how well will they get it done. And if I want to make sure it's even better shape, I'll make the extra 20 and I'll do it as a project management and I'll run the job. There's just scenarios here where I guarantee you it is structural and doable. What you've got to learn to do is be creative with that solution. Realize that they are not going to be up front and tell you what the problem is. You have to intuit that. And I think that's often harder than the creative side of it. But you will never do a presentation that somebody shouldn't sign. What you have to figure out is why they're not. And it's not just what they're telling you. You got to learn to intuit. You got to learn to read between the lines what's going on. Then you have to get crazy creative with the scenarios of how to get there. And that is just the assumed close with the variation of, if I could, would you? So I know Johnny's problem is he doesn't want to admit it, but he's barely got $2,000 to his name. And I'm asking for $5,000 up front for the engagement fee. And so I'm sitting there and I know this, but I know he's not going to tell me that. So it's the classic, hey, Johnny, if you're like me, this time of year is hard, blah, 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 blah. What if we just did this with $500 now and we deferred the balance to the construction loan? Boom, done, they sign. Maybe it's Johnny's just insecure and doesn't believe he can get a loan and he's nervous about the bank. Hey, Johnny, if you're like me, banks are really nervous in that structure, but I do have a guaranteed potential financing situation for you, and we'll get that taken care of. Or, hey, Johnny, I know that's insecurity, and banks are weird, but I want to put my buddy on the phone. I've got him here with me that'll walk you through the lending structure and blah, 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 blah. And you get that monkey off their back. Make sure you put yourself at their level, elevate that level, and it seems cool because they have to have their pride. Then you flow it through and you take it too. And when we get there, and it's just flow with the assumed close. So to recap, because this bounced all around the place, remember the if I could, would you? Know they're going to sign with you because you're the best. And know that you've got to be creative with coming up with solutions for the if I could, would you? And you're probably even going to have to present the option to them because most people will not tell you what the real point of injury is. Come up with the solution, then present them with the agreement to sign. Bam, bam, boom. Follow these. I promise you'll increase your sales at least 25%. Minimum. Most of you will probably see an increase of somewhere between 200 and 300%. I'm not exaggerating. You will probably see an increase of 200 to 300% in sales. So that is today's. I hope it made sense. There's so many stories to cover in there. I hope I didn't confuse and ramble too much. But I appreciate you watching. Have a great day.